Alright, Rockers, I am very honored to have with me here inside the asylum by phone one of the originators of the new wave of British heavy metal music, and that is John Gallagher of the legendary Raven, now with me by phone. How are you, John?
I'm doing great, Turbo. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
I'm glad to have you on, man. It's an honor. I first saw you guys actually for the first time last fall here in the New York area when you were playing with Accept at the Gramercy Theater, and it was an amazing show by both you and Accept. You guys really set the bar for the night, and Accept definitely nailed it home. It was a phenomenal show by all.
Yeah, we had a great time with that. It was very cool. They asked us to come out and do. We did 3 shows with them. We did San Diego, Los Angeles, and then the Gramercy Theater show in New York. And we've been playing off and on with Accept. So I think the first time we played with them was back in 1982 in Belgium. So we've had a long association with at least one or two of the guys over the years, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, both of you guys have been going, both bands, Raven and Accept, have been going for many years and going strong. Now, you guys are, Raven is going into their 41st anniversary year. Has that really sunk in with you guys yet as a band, that you guys are now going 41 years and you're still kicking ass?
No, I don't think that'll ever really sink in. It's kind of mind-blowing, really. If someone had told me way back when, you know, what we'd be up to now, I would be, like, rather surprised, put it that way. So it's mind-blowing, but it's humbling. And, you know, we appreciate how lucky we are to be doing what we're doing, and we enjoy the hell out of it, and we'll continue to do so.
Cool, man. I mean, you guys are just tearing it up. Once again, you guys have a new album getting ready to come out in just about 2 weeks. ExtermiNation, coming out on April 28th here in the States, courtesy of Steamhammer. Now, you guys went and started putting this together last year, and you went through a online funding campaign to get the ball rolling on it. What made you guys decide to go that route and bring the fans in on the process?
Well, we have a good relationship with SPV, and you know, we have a deal with them, but it seemed obvious pretty early on that we really wanted to raise the bar on this, and there was going to be a lot of additional expenses because the 3 of us live all over the States, and you know, you can do a certain amount of writing individually or pass files between each other and all this, but you know, you got to brainstorm as 3 people in one room. That's really what we're all about. That's how we record. Unlike 99.9% of other bands out there, we record as 3 guys in a room without a click track, without any of the stupid toys. We just lay it down. So we knew there was going to be, you know, 3 or 4 writing sessions and then getting together to rehearse. It was going to eat into the money big time. And it's just like, well, how are we going to, you know, get from A to B? And some friends had said, well, why don't we look at the Kickstarter thing? Which we did. We talked to STV. They're like, fine, go for it. Go ahead. So we did. And, you know, the fans have responded amazingly. We, you know, definitely beat our budget, which is just as well because the budget was wrong. So it certainly helped with that. We had a lot of great rewards, and one of the best ones was, you know, if people wanted it, you could contribute and get this additional album. We did a whole album of cover tunes, like 11 songs, songs near and dear to our heart from our youth, and it's called Party Killers, and it's a great, you know, like a companion piece to the ExtermiNation album, basically.
Now, the Party Killers, that was only available for those who took part in the Kickstarter campaign, Well, will that be
Yeah.
released later on, maybe somewhere down the line to the public?
Yeah, maybe somewhere down the line. You know, we offered this exclusively to the backers, so it would be kind of, you know, not the right thing to do to bring this straight out as, you know, as soon as this, you know, thing is over. So once the dust settles, you know, we'll look at it and maybe we'll repackage it in another format or add a few different songs, or, you know, we'll do something a little different. But you know, we want to try and keep that exclusivity that the fans who contributed deserve that. You know, this is special for them, so we want to try and do that.
Of course, I'm sure it had to be fun for you guys as well to sit down and put your unique take on some of the songs that you guys have loved over the years.
That was awesome. That was a lot of fun. And actually, one funny thing happened. I mean, normally we all play all three together in the room. We just got some food, and Joe didn't want to eat, and he was all hyped up and wanted to record. He says, "Well, let me do one. Let me do Ogre Battle." So that was the first song we did. So he went in and he started playing the song by Queen, Ogre Battle. So it's, you know, all the gaps, all the stops, just playing it through. And in the middle of it, the guy who won the studio brought this kid in. He goes, "Hey, here's my friend Mark." Like, "Hey, Mark, how's it going?" And he's sitting there, and he's like taking it in. And I'm like, "You Mark Morton from Lamb of God?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, cool." And he says, "What's going on here?" And it's, "What do you mean?" He says, "You guys playing the drums. I don't hear no music." He says, "Yeah." He goes, "I don't hear no click track." I says, "Yeah, we don't use click tracks." He goes, "Well, how does he know the song?" He goes, "Oh, we've heard it once or twice." He couldn't get over the fact that he couldn't get over that, or he couldn't get over the fact that after that we were going to just play the songs together in the studio as a band, because his band's never done that. I just think that's crazy, and this, you know, that this is one of the things that distinguishes hard rock and heavy metal from a number of different kinds of music, at least, is having that live feel, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's...
You have us in the room, and you've got guys that have... I mean, we've got the same lineup now for, what, 29 years? You know, you do that, and there's going to be a little bit of magic happening there. And you can't dial up magic in Pro Tools.
Well, not only that, too, but you also speak to the fact that, you know, you guys are at the same lineup for 20 years, and you all know each other, and I'm sure you guys over the years in recording in the studio have even gotten this thing where you can just look at each other and you know what you guys are thinking to be able to change something as you're recording it, rather than to sit there and say, well, after we listen to it, we're going to go back and fix it.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, we have that, and we play on that kind of thing when we play live. We'll jam in the middle of Break a Chain. We have this one part where Joe just starts by, you know, keeping the kick drum going, and Mark will start playing some stuff, and then me and Joe will just start going off, just saying, down, pick it down, pick it up, all this stop-start nonsense. And it's hilarious because, you know, 90% of the time we're completely locked in and we're just making it up as we go along. So those kind of things. And sometimes in the studio, you know, we plan everything out, so you know what you're going to be doing pretty much, but there's always room for spontaneity, and there's always sometimes a happy accident. Sometimes you screw up and go, "Hey, hang on a minute, this would sound so much better." Sometimes the accidents are the best parts, so it's good to have that.
Do you guys worry that when you have those happy accidents, that maybe it was one of those accidents that you sit there and go, I hope we don't have to play this live, because I don't know if we can do that again?
No, you're usually able to figure out whatever the hell it was that was going on.
Okay, because I know...
We don't have them problems.
Right, because I know some bands have that, you know, they do something in the studio and, as you said, you have that happy accident, and they go to try to recreate it live, and I often, some bands have trouble with doing that, others don't, but you guys obviously don't have that issue with that. You guys just know what you're doing because you've been together for so many years.
No, it's usually not an issue. Just but sometimes those strange screw things do happen. Like maybe Joel come in too early, or you put a different thing in, and we hear it the wrong way around, and when you check it out after, it's like, hang on a minute, that's like really cool. Let's leave it like that, or let's go back in and fix our parts to make it work with this. I mean, I'll sometimes do that. If we're playing together and he's doing some really cool fills that I want to match up. If I'm off on them, I'll go back in on the bass and figure out something to complement the drum pattern. We'll certainly do that.
Yeah,
we want that live feel, but at the same thing, it's not a making a record, unless it's a live record, it's not performance art. You've got the ability to go back and refine and change your brush strokes a little bit if you need to.
Right, of course. I mean, there's always certain things that you may have to tweak, and that's why you guys have the benefit of going into the studio, like you said, when it's not a live album, you have the benefit of the doubt to go back and clean up just what needs to be cleaned up, as opposed to redoing things just because maybe it just didn't sound right.
I mean, people are going to think a little bit of that too with a live record. So, well, it's not really a live performance, it's a live album. So if something's really bad, we'll change it. And, after a while, it's like a fine line, and it's just like, well, you might as well not bother doing it live. You might as well just go in the studio and play it. It's kind of pointless after a while.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why if you've got a great recorded bootleg, sometimes like this is the real deal right here. No trickery. If what you heard is what this is.
Absolutely true with that. And I mean, those bootlegs are a rare commodity nowadays with everyone going digital, but they are getting out there slowly as recording devices are now in a matter of many cell phones and smartphones that people are bringing into venues. So those bootlegs I think the bootlegs might make a comeback.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be a thing that when you were doing a show and there was going to be a video camera, you had this whole self-conscious thing going on, like, oh my God, this is being filmed. I better not screw up, and that kind of, red light nervousness that something's going on. And it's at the point now that when we play a show, for a fact everything's getting recorded, everything's getting videoed, every gig. So that kind of goes away. It's just part of, it's getting recorded. It's like saying there's going to be people at the show. It's like no big deal. But like you say, the quality can be quite scarily good on some of these things. It's the technology is just insane.
Oh, absolutely is, man. I mean, I've seen some stuff. I've recorded some stuff on my own cell phone, and I didn't realize till I got home on how good the quality was. I mean, I just recently seen Motor Sister at a local venue here in the New York area, filmed the first 4 songs on my phone just so I had something to share with my followers online who weren't in the New York area. And I got home and I looked at the quality and I was amazed. It was almost like, wow, I had a real camera, and yet here it was, just my smartphone.
Yeah, it's crazy. Friends of ours, Satan from Newcastle, they did a short US tour last year, and the drummer, Sean, used to be in Raven back in 77, 78, so they're obviously old friends. And they were recording shows for a live record, and they basically had 2 little handheld 4-track recorders in a little junction box, and they just ran lines off the desk, and that was it.
Wow.
They had it preset, just boom, 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 go. And then they take it back and I guess fool around with it a little bit in the studio, but the basic stuff is just insanely easy. It was basically having two ghetto blasters. Pretty much, it's crazy. But I mean, that's awesome. You can actually, do these things where, back in the day, you had a whole mobile truck outside and all this stuff. You don't need that anymore.
It's true. You used to have to carry half, like you said, a whole truck or more.
Recording studio in your back pocket, basically.
Yeah, it's all it is nowadays, man. I mean, maybe that's what it is, John, that's keeping rock and metal alive. There was a few years where people were a little uneasy, and then now that there's the availability of so many bands to be able to be seen now via cell phone videos and these, easier to carry recorders, maybe that has a part in keeping rock and metal alive, and why bands, like Raven are even maybe bigger now than they were 10, 15 years ago.
Definitely. It's a combination of a lot of factors. I mean, after the grunge thing, obviously metal kind of went underground, or at least the kind of metal that you and I love kind of went underground a bit. When following that, at the same time that was popular, the whole downloading thing was hitting. And when that started to ease off a bit, and the internet obviously started to get more popular, there's basically communities set up. Pardon me. And, it's a huge part of what we do now is being connected through the fans, through the internet. That's how people find out when shows are on. That's when they find out about, when I'm on radio shows, or when we've got a CD coming out. It's kind of co-opted a lot of the regular methods you would have used in the past, such as, like a lot of print media. A lot of that, it's almost, it's way down to what it used to be. It used to be kids reading whatever, Hit Parader and Circus and all that. Now they'll glance at Blabbermouth or whatever, but more likely they'll be on some kind of blog site, and it's word of mouth. It really is. It's an electronic word of mouth.
It is.
It's definitely changed the game. It really has.
And in the word of mouth, if you think about it, that's how many of the great bands got started, was the word of mouth. So now it's kind of a global version of word of mouth, instead of it taking, 2 weeks for a guy in California to talk to a friend in New York by handwritten mail. Now it's as simple as a Facebook message or a tweet saying, hey, check this band out, or hey, Raven's got a new album coming out, and then boom, next thing you know, it's all over the world.
Yeah, it's really amazing. There's a guy I'm friends with on Facebook, has a band in India called Albatross, and they got asked to play on a Raven tribute record, so they did a version of the song Savage and the Hungry off the Life's a Bitch album. And just the whole concept of talking to a kid in India who plays heavy metal, and he's covered one of our songs, it's kind of mind-blowing, and that's, they say it's a small world. Well, it's a lot smaller than it used to be. But in a good way. Absolutely,
man. Bringing the rock and metal masses together in new ways and keeping rock and metal alive. And for those of you joining me in late, John Gallagher of the mighty Raven on the phone here inside the ASYLUM. John, ExtermiNation comes out, and as we said, just about 2 weeks, and you guys went and got into the studio together, and as you always do. Was the album written once you guys got together, or were there things that were maybe you guys were working on that were on hold for a while, and now you guys put it together, or was it just, alright, we're together, it's time for a new album?
There was a few ideas floating around, but we really started looking at this in earnest like around about the middle of 2013. We had the DVD Rock Until You Drop, the retrospective was coming out, and my brother Mark was editing all that together, and I started getting into a writing mode and wrote a lot of songs. And, he did too, and Joe had a whole bunch of ideas. So we really started punching it together probably last year, like early 2004, and just starting to condense down the amount of songs we had and just saying, well, I think this one would be good. And once you've got a few songs in, you can look at the others and go, okay, this one fits with these, and this other song may be really good, but it's not really either developed far enough, or it's just not going to fit, and you leave it up on the shelf, and you may or may not come back to it at another time. I mean, we've had occasion where there's been one or two songs that just sit on the bench because it just doesn't feel right. And sometimes you come back and go, hey, it needs this, and then boom, you've got a great song. Everything there that's been sitting around for 5 years. It doesn't happen all the time, but occasionally it has happened. I don't think that happened on any of these. I had some riffs for the song Tomorrow, which were a little older, and some riffs for the song No Surrender, which were a little older, but everything else is pretty much brand new. And once we had a collection of songs that we were happy with, then we just started saying, okay, well, let's take this part out of here, we don't need this, what if we did this part on here, what if we changed this riff, basically rearranging and just getting to the essence, making sure that the song was as strong as it possibly could be. And that's why the record stands as strong as it does, because we made sure there was no dead areas, no wasted space, as it were. And each of the songs stand on their own merit, but they work together as a team.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I've had the album for about a week, and I've been listening to it, and as you said, there are no dead spots on it. There's no lag, there's no layover, and listen to it. I listen to songs. I listen to Fight, and I listen to Silver Bullet and No Surrender, and they almost speak to how everyone needs to just rally together and just keep waving the flag for metal. Those three songs just seem to almost scream that rock and metal is far from going anywhere, and no one's going out without a fight.
Definitely, this that's a reoccurring theme, as it were. We just wanted to make them as strong as possible, and the sounds, the sonic quality. I mean, Kevin 131 did a wonderful job on capturing the audio we were laying down, and this album sonically, I'll stand it up against anything. You take this record and start playing it loud, and it sounds great. The louder you play it, the better it sounds. It's really weird, but it really does.
And it's also perfectly balanced. I often find with a lot of the albums nowadays, sometimes you struggle to pull out a bass line, or the drum line gets muddled in the bass line, or maybe some of the guitars get drowned under the bass line. It really came together really well, and it really mixed well. How much of the actual mixing did you guys get involved in, or was it just Kevin 131 that sat everything down and knew what you guys wanted and made it what it was?
Yeah, I mean, the mix on this, like you say, we're very particular about that. It has to work as an entity is all in, but you've got to be able to hear pretty much all the parts. And the way you do that is the mix itself has to breathe. For those who are unfamiliar, you've got a mixing desk and you've got all the faders with everything on, each individual drum and the bass and the guitars and the vocals. And you don't just kind of say, okay, well, the drums go here and the guitar goes here and the bass should be here and the vocals there, and that's it. This stuff moves. When it gets to a certain part, the guitars will get louder, and then they'll come back a little bit when the vocals come in. And, the bass will move if there's a clever bass part. It'll we'll push it up and push it back down, and so it's organic in that way, and it really makes a huge difference.
Absolutely, and the album is just great from beginning to end. And I know, John, you're busy. I know you got things to do going on with the album, getting ready to come out on the 28th of April. Of course, I wouldn't be doing my job as a DJ if I didn't ask you what the plan was for touring once ExtermiNation gets out there to the masses.
Well, we've got some video stuff we're going to be editing up to help promote the album. We're working on that. And then we go to Japan in July. And following that, at the end of July, we're going to do at least a couple of weeks' worth of dates in the States. We just signed with a new agent, and they're setting that up for us now, which is awesome. And then following that, we'll be going to Europe. There's talk of Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, all kinds of crazy stuff. Then we'll be, planning on next year, which will be starting probably with one of the rock cruises, and then working on getting into the festivals. And if we don't do more dates on the tail end of 2015, it'll be earlier in 2016 in the States.
Very cool, man. Well, everyone get ready, because Raven is bringing you ExtermiNation on April 28th. Go out there, get yourself a copy of it now. As John said, be ready. The ExtermiNation World Tour is coming very soon, so you guys will see them out on the road. John, before I let you go, what song from the album, I've got the whole thing in front of me, what song would you recommend we play for my listeners as a taste of what is to come from ExtermiNation?
Oh, a good song with a good mix of the whole 9 yards, I think, is Scream. Let's hit them with that.
Alright, I will do that right now. Brand new music from Raven. ExtermiNation in stores soon. This is Scream.